right? So a return type can be anything. A return type of a method can be the data, like the return type of a method represents the data which is going to be returned by a method after performing its operations. Once a method is executed successfully, it comes up with some kind of data, and so whoever calls this method, which kind of data it is going to return. So that kind of if it is returns any kind of data, we need to specify what data it is going to return after completing its task. That is called as return type. So there are three possible values you can have for this return type. So the three possible values are like this. You can have a void, it is a type, return type, right? So void is a return type, or actually it is a keyword void, right? And a method can return primitive data, right? Or a method can return what data, what other data we have, right? A reference data, nothing but user defined data. A method can return anything out of these three, right? Generally methods means what? Method is nothing but some kind of operations. When a method completes its execution, it can return the data or it cannot return the data. Yesterday whatever the methods we have seen, no method returned any data. Simply I have taken void. So what is the meaning of this here? What is the meaning of void here? Void is nothing but this method is going to perform some kind of action, but it is not going to return any data to its caller, right? So whenever you call a method, there will be a calling method, calling location will be there, right? There is a statement which calls this method, and once a method is executed, it returns the values to the statement which is calling it. If it is returns a value, that value can be a primitive data or it can be a reference data. If a method does not return any value, then in that case you need to write void. So what is the meaning of this? So this method executes, but it is not going to return any value to its caller, right? So any type of data can be returned by a method, and return type is mandatory. It definitely you need to have any one of these three. Void, nothing is going to return by this method after performing, right? So primitive data, you have 8 categories. It can return any one of these 8. Reference data, huge. There is no limitation for reference data because these are created by the programmers, right? So this is what you have here, a very important thing here. So without return type you cannot write a method. Return type is mandatory and it should be any one of these three, right? So return type means the value which is returned by that method. Now we try to understand. Now we take one scenario here. Now my requirement is, right, is example, again example scenario I'm going to take here. My requirement is like this. I would like to use a calculator, right, and I want to pass some data to a calculator, right, and it should add the data and it should return the value to me, and whatever the value which is returned by the calculator, by using that value I want to calculate again the average. Getting me? So calculating the average means what? Let's suppose I would like to take 3 subjects, 3 marks, and I want to give these 3 marks individually to a calculator object. It should calculate the total of them. Then based on the total whatever I got, I want to find out the average of that, right? These are the two functionalities I want to perform by using a object called as calculator object. So what I'm going to do here, so first if you want to create a calculator, right, I want to write a calculator here, public class calculator. Now I want to write a method which adds the numbers. There is a method I am taking, add. Now which takes, let's suppose, 3 values. As 3 values it should take and it should add them. So 3 values, I am passing 3 values as integers I, j. You need to declare the variables. Okay. Now I would like to add this 3 I plus j plus k, and I'm going to store them into a variable called as int total. Right? So this is what my add method is going to do. Now what I want to do is, suppose I put a void, so it is not going to return any value. This is my calculator simple class. Now I'm going to add one more method called as void, which is going to calculate the average for me. Now which takes one integer value, which is a total number of marks, total marks, and takes one more integer value, which is number of subjects. Right? So what it is going to do? Total by number of subjects. Again I am going to store it in average. Again all are local variables. No instance variable is here. All are what? Local variables. There is no instance variable at all. Right? The class name is calculator. Online classes is absolutely fine. Now to call that calculator, I am taking the help of a main class, public class calculator main, public static void main, string args. Now if I want to call the method of a class, I need to create an object for that class, calculator, some calc is equals to new calculator. Now through this object I am going to call any one of the methods. Right? What is that? First method I am going to call calc dot add. How much data it is going to take? It is going to take 3 fields of type integers. Right? Okay guys, are you following? Dot Java. Fine. Now I'm going to compile my programs here now. Right, it's compiled successfully and executed successfully. Now what is I should do here? Now whatever this method is doing, what it is simply adding the numbers and I got its total, right? System dot out dot println total, right? But if I want to calculate this average, what should I do? What should I do now? Divide by 3 actually, fine. But which one divide by 3? Total. Now how to do it? Total by 3, fine. Cool. How to do it now? Tell me the statement. How to perform this operation now? Statement. How to calculate the average here? What you would declare? There is one method I have written which calculates the average. So it takes the total and number of subjects. Now to call this, if you want to call a method of a class, you need to use the method object reference average total comma 2 values. Number of subjects are 3. Now what is the total here? $90. Do I need to write like this manually? No, because this method is going to give me the total. Now if the total which is calculated by this method, I want to use it, right? Now how can I use that total here? Right, this is where you come across these return values, right? So what is the meaning of this? Int. Int means data type, primitive data type, right? So when somebody calls this method, from some other location, when you call this method by using its object, this method is going to return a value, and that value is of type what? An integer to its caller. Who is the caller here? Who is its caller? This is the way, this is from here I'm calling that method. Now when that method is called from this location to this caller, right, main method actually, to this main method, it is going to return the value, and that value is of type what? Integer, right? Okay. Now whenever you write apart from void, whenever you write any other data type, you need to return the value by using a keyword called as return. And where is the value stored? The value is stored in a variable called as total, right? So return, this is the one more branching statement as we discussed. I told you I will discuss about this later. So what is this method is going to do for you? Now this method takes 3 integer values as input, and this method returns 1 integer value as output, and it is possible to return only one value. It is not possible to return more than one value, remember, right? So this method takes from the who is trying to invoke this method, from that location it takes 3 values as input, and to that location it is going to send one value, and that value is of type what? Integer. Did you get it now? Okay, this is the meaning of method signature. This is the meaning of what return type. So whenever you call this method from the calling location, you should call that method by passing 3 integers. Now I am passing 3 integers, and this method call will give me an integer back. And if you want to store that integer, you can use an integer value. Let's suppose int t. Now t contains what here? T contains what? Total of 20 plus 30 plus 40. Right? Now t contains the total. Just I am printing here. Total plus t. Now let's see first. Let me print the total. Now whatever the total which is whatever the total which I got after calling this method, that total I need to use the value in this t. I want to pass it to what? I want to pass it to average method. Right? Okay. What is t mean here? T is a variable which has a value called as what? Addition of these 3 variables. I am passing it to what? The average method. Now let's suppose whatever that method, whatever the average it calculates, again I would like to store that average here. Now what should I write here? So this average method, what is the meaning of average method? The average method takes 2 integer values, and I am passing one integer 90, t is nothing but 90, one more integer 3, and it returns me a value, and that value is of type what? Integer again. So I need to modify my average method also, because I have written void. When you have a void, you should not write any return value. So if you want to write right, so most general cases a method returns the value. Methods are nothing but like actions which are performed by an object. Whenever a object is performing some action, it is generally comes up with some results, and that results if you want to take, you need to have this. Now what is this average method is doing here? This average method takes 2 integers. So you need to see always the data types. What is the data type this method is taking? This method is taking a data type called as a integer. First value is integer, second value is also what? Integer. And let's suppose I would like to return a double value. You can return it. Double. Average is of type double. Now you can store in the double. Right? What is this method? Very important. This is called as method interface, and this is called as method implementation. Now whenever you call a method, we always see method interface. Method interface means what? How to call this method. This logic is not important for, this logic is not required actually. Logic is not at all required, because I am writing, for you it is required, but to the callers who wants to call this method, for them the logic is not required. Only how to call this method is required. How to call this method? Object identifier dot method name takes 2 integers and returns one double value. Now in the calling location, so this is where I am calling this. So this takes 2 integers. Yes, I am passing 2 integers, and which returns me a double value. I am going to store that value exactly in the same type, double value. Right? Now I am going to print this value again, so that let's average, and it is stored in a variable called as avg. Right? Right? Now this is what I have here. Now let me run my main program, compile and execute the main program. It's fine. Now it is, I'm trying to execute it. Total is 90, average is 30, right? So there are two methods in my calculator class. It's very important. There are two methods in my calculator class with the name add and average, and one method takes two integers, three integers and returns a one integer value. One method takes one integer or two integers again, and it returns a value of type double. Right, there are something you need to take care here. Whenever you return this type and the value whatever you are returning, both must be compatible. Let's suppose if I have a boolean, you cannot return a double value here. You should return a boolean only. It will not allow you to do this. So whatever the return type you are specifying, right? See, incompatible types, return average, incompatible types, required boolean value, but actually the data which is passed is of type double. Why? Average is a variable which is having a double value stored inside it, and you are saying this method returns a boolean. No, this is not correct. So these two must be compatible as well. Whenever you are trying to store the value, after calling this method, whenever you are trying to store the value and its type must be compatible. That means what? It is nothing but int average equal to some value inside this side. So you cannot, the value must be, the type must be of the same, whatever the data you have this side, and its type must be compatible. So this side I am getting a double value 30.0, and it is not compatible with what? Integer. No. Right? See here, your compiler will not compile it. See, it is saying what? This side you will get a double value, found the double value, but you are given an integer. Right? So you need to take care here. Right? Now this is fine. Now if you change the data here, then you can see, let's suppose 45. Right? I'm giving here. Now let's see here what I'm going to get. 31.0. Total is 95. Now let's suppose if I want to calculate the grades, what should I do? If I want to calculate the grades, what should I do now? Right? Now then I can use the average, if average, and you can write the logics for calculating what? Grades. So here this is a calculator which takes the values and which returns the values. If the values are not returned, then this program cannot continue. If it is not returning, add method is not returning the total value, then you cannot calculate the average. If the average method is not returning the value, then you cannot calculate the grades. Right? So this is called as caller. Main method is the caller who is calling that method, and this is the statement which is used by main to call that method, and this method returns you an integer. Right? So there are syntactically, the control immediately comes out whenever you have a return statement. The control immediately comes out from that method to the calling location. Right? So after this true, after this return, you cannot write any value here. After this return, you cannot write any statement here. You cannot write any statement, because once a return statement is encountered, the control immediately comes out from this block to its caller. Now if you try to write anything after this return, and you cannot, that cannot be executed, and your compiler will not allow you to do this. So that means return should be the last statement of a method. That means whenever you have a, apart from void, whenever you have a data type, it can be a primitive data type or it can be a user defined data type. Remember it. User defined means what? A class. Right? It can be a class also. And whenever you have a return type, definitely you should return the value by using a keyword called as return keyword. Total is a value which contains the total of these three subjects. Right? So this is what you have here. This is the meaning of return value. Getting me? Okay. Any doubts here? Okay. Right. Now, now we'll try to write, then this is what you have for a method. This is one, right? So there is no instance variables for this class. I don't think required actually. And this is calculating, and it is returning the values to the caller who is calling. Let's suppose this is a main, means a person kind of object who is using the calculator and is getting the results, and he can do some other works, right? Now this is what methods can do for you. This is what your method is actually. Method will have a return type, and return type is compulsory, right? And not only these, methods can also be used for communicating between the objects. The methods can be used by the objects to communicate with each other by passing some kind of messages. So a method is nothing but a message. In general, I'm talking about. A method is nothing but a message, right? Now, to understand this, again we take very regular scenario. Now I'm going to write a statement here. Just we try to analyze this again. Right? Now this is the statement I'm giving. Driver drives a car. This is the first scenario. This is the case study. Simple case study to understand what is the meaning of objects communicate with each other. Car moves. Driver drives and a car moves. Now how to write it? Now first thing is, this is a problem statement I have, and this is a single problem statement actually, not two problem statements. It's a single problem statement. And car moves. Now how can I write this program for this? First of all, how many objects are there in this? Driver comma car, right, two objects. Now there are, and each object need to talk to each other. When driver drives, then only car moves, right? Now how can I write the programming for this? Now for first, what should I do here now? First, what should I do? As I said, there are two objects, then what should I do? We have to create two classes, absolutely correct. What classes we need to create? One is car, right. So for each and every object you need to create a class. The car class, which is used to create car objects, simple. Driver class, which is used to create a driver objects, very simple. What is this? Driver. Now car class defines a car object. That means this class contains a set of properties and set of functionalities of a car. Now what functionality is there for a car in this statement? What functionality is there for a car in this statement? And what functionality you have for a driver in this statement? This is the statement I have, and in this statement what functionalities you have. No, I'm not asking properties, I'm asking the functionalities. Which one? Move. Car functionality is what? Move. Nothing but a method. Functionalities are nothing but a method. Next. No. Start is also there, absolutely correct. But whenever you write a solution, we don't take all. We only take which are required for solving. Now I need to solve only one. Moves, that's it. Start will be there, but it is in this case study. There is no start, stop kind of functionalities I have given. I have given only one functionality called as what? Moves, that's it. We are not going to implement any other extra functionalities. Right? So when somebody asks you to do something and you will doing the same, you are not going to give extra to him. Always. Next, only one. Drive. Right? These are two functionalities you have. When driver drives, then car moves. So these two objects need to interact with each other. Right? Now I'm going to take some functional properties also. Right? Company name. Lot more you can take. Price, but not required actually. As he said, number of wheels, number of seats. Lot more we can take. Wheels. Here also you can take a driver name, age, lot more. Not required actually. Like this. Name, age, experience. Very big list you can take here. Right. So this is my design. So according to this I am going to design my classes. New. First class is public class driver, which has a functionality called as void drive, no inputs. Simple, I'm making it simple, just it's maybe just how the objects communicates with each other. Simple class dot java driver. In the same way I need to have one more class, that is public class car, and what it is having method called as move. Right? Now how these two objects communicates with each other. How these objects communicates with each other now. How to write the code. Right? So this is very important. So I'm writing a main program for this. Public class driver car. Public class driver car. Right? Public static void main method here. String args. Now if I want to call a driver, I require a driver object. Driver D is equals to new driver. Now on this object I can call what method? Driver class drive method. Driver class drive method. So when he starts driving here, what should happen there? What should happen there? What should happen here? Driver dot drive. What should happen? Car should move, right? So when he starts his functionality, car should start move here. So when he started driving, car should move. So how to? Car C is equals to new car. And what it is? C dot move. And why I am writing this? Don't assume that objects should be created only in main method. No. Right? Objects can be created anywhere in the program. Absolutely right. Now to see this flow of this program, just I am creating system.out.println. This example is to show you that driver driving a car. And now what is car does here? Just a simple system.out.println. What a car does here? Car is moving. This example actually just I want to show you objects can be created anywhere. Java C driver car, fine. Java driver car. I did not save the driver program, it seems. There is a problem. Driver driving a car, car is moving. Right? So this is how, see here, how the objects can communicate here. How the objects can communicate here. Right? So here, so driver, when driver is driving, now if you want to call the method of a car, again fundamental rules as I told you, you require a object to call a method of that class. And this object can be created anywhere, that's your choice. Anywhere you can create the object. Why I am creating the object here only? Right? Can't I create this object here in the main class? You can create, absolutely no problem. Right? You can create it. Here you can do. Now what happens here? Same thing happens, same output you can see here. Driver driving a car, car is moving. But the problem here is, if I don't have a driver, also the car is moving. That is the reason why I have created that object there, because of when driver drives, car should move. Right? That is the reason why. See here, car is moving. According to this case study, what is there? When driver is driving, car should move. But there is no driver, still car is moving. There is a reason why I have created object there, and object can be created anywhere. Don't think that I should always create the objects only in main methods. No. Right? So that is what. Okay, this is how objects communicates with each other. Objects communicates with each other is nothing but one object is calling the method of other object. Okay, no problem. We'll finish up. Right. So this is what we have here. Right. If you take the very general example, right, what is it? Now, let's suppose whenever you want to purchase a class, whenever you want to purchase a item, now how the communication happens between you and a salesperson? Imagine the scenario here, right? So this is one more good example I personally feel, so that you can easily understand. Let's see here. How many objects are required? How many objects are required here? Right? Two again. One is a customer object. One is what? Customer. Right? And the other one is the salesperson. So customer is nothing but we. Salesperson, let's suppose. Now how the communication happens in between them? What a customer will have? What a customer will have? Can you describe a customer? Can you describe a customer? What a customer will have here? And describe a salesperson, what he is going to have here. Okay, we take a simple product here. Just I want to describe uh, the functionalities of a, right? Customer will have to do buying, right? So customer will have a functionality. Now let us describe some properties of a customer. Customer will have some name, age, right? And he will have some budget to purchase, right? So this is a customer. Only three I'm taking. Now what he is going to do? His functionalities are what? His functionality is one, purchase a product. This is a one, right? Purchase or buying, yes, absolutely. And before purchasing it, what he has to do here? He need to check whether the balance is there or not. Get budget, whether he has a budget or not. Just I am writing for simple simplification. Whenever I plan to purchase something, I will check whether sufficient money is there or not. If the money is there, then I decided to purchase. Then what I should do here now? What a salesperson will have? Again, name, some product he will have, right? And he will do what? He will sell, means what? How he is going to sell? Right? First he is going to take the order. Then once he takes the order, then he is going to sell the product. Sell the product. So these are two different functionalities of salesperson. Right? There may be a number of customers exist, and each and every customer will have what? Name, age, budget, and each and every customer can do what? Purchase, and he can check the budget. There may be a number of salesperson. Every salesperson will have what? A name and product, and every salesperson will take the order, and every salesperson will sell the product. Now how these two objects will communicate with each other in general? Same, right? So when as a customer, whenever you want to buy As a customer, whenever you want to purchase a product, you will make a request to a salesperson, and you will invoke customer. As a customer, you will make a request to a salesperson by giving the product details. And how you give a product details? By invoking a method called as what? Take my order. Right? So as a customer, when you decided to purchase something, first you will check your budget first of all, whether the budget is there or not. If you feel there is a sufficient budget, now what you do here? Then you make a request to what? Then you make a request to salesperson. You make a request to salesperson by all product details. All those product details becomes what? Input for this take order method. Right? Whatever the product details you want to send, all those product details becomes the input for this take order method. And how to call this take order method? How to call this take order method of salesperson? How you invoke the salesperson's take order method? Right? So if you want to invoke the take order method of a salesperson as a customer, so in the purchase, you must be, whenever you want to purchase, there must be a salesperson available here. Right? There must be a salesperson available here. In this purchase method, there must be a salesperson available here. So that means salesperson available here, nothing but what? What is the meaning of it? You need to create a salesperson object here. Through that object, you will be passing the data to a take order method. Getting me? If there is no salesperson available, there is no meaning of making a request to what? Salesperson. Okay? Right? So what you need to do here? So customer dot purchase, customer object dot purchase, how the communication happens here? Customer object dot purchase, when you call a purchase method, in this purchase method, you need to make a request to what? Salesperson. You need to make a request to salesperson. That means if you want to make a request to salesperson, there must be a salesperson available here. So if you want a salesperson available here, you need to create a salesperson object. You need to create a salesperson object. Through this object, salesperson object, you are going to call a take order method and passing the information as input to him. What a salesperson is going to do here? What a salesperson is going to do here? After receiving your order, he is going to process some kind of statements. He is going to process some kind of statements, right? He is going to process some kind of statements here. And after processing the statements, what is he going to do? After processing the statements, he may come up with a reply back to you. Saying what? He may come up with a reply back to you. That means what? He will return some product back to you, return value. Try to understand this. Right? So as a customer, you are invoking a purchase method, and through that purchase method, you are making a call to what? Take order method of what? Salesperson. Salesperson is going to do some kind of process, right? Checks whether the product is available or not. If the product is available, he is going to return the product back to you. So returning the product back to you means what? The take order method of a salesperson need to have a return type as called as what? Need to have a return type here called as a product. If he is not returning anything, then there is no meaning of this communication. Okay? Do you understand here? Okay, did you understand what I am trying to explain here? Very simple conversation which very regularly happens in everybody's life, right? Right? So very simple. Whenever you decide to purchase a product, you must require a salesperson available. So you need to create a salesperson object in the purchase method. It's technically, it's real time that is different, but here programmatically it should be it is like this, right? So you need to have a salesperson available. Salesperson available means what? In the purchase method, how I did a driver class, how I created a car object here. In the same way, you need to create a salesperson object inside purchase method. Right? What is the meaning of this? Whenever a driver wants to drive a car, the car should be available. Otherwise, how he is going to drive? So now for that, I have just created a car. And on that car, I can call a move method. In the same way, the purchase method, if you assume this as a purchase method, this should be, in this purchase method of a customer, there should be a salesperson, and through that salesperson, you can call his take order functionality by passing some kind of a method. And the take order functionality of a salesperson, after processing his instructions, he may give you the product back. Giving the product back means what? Returning the value. How a value will be returned? By using a return statement and by adding a data type to it. Right? So this is how the objects communicates with each other. So methods are used in the programming, object-oriented programming, to communicate with each other. The objects can communicate with each other. Right? Okay. Right? So to clearly understand these methods, I would like to give one simple assignment to you. Right? Just give me 5 minutes. See this command, whatever I am typing here. Java P. Okay. Java P. Java dot lang string. It is a class, predefined class from lang package. It is a predefined class which is given by the Java. What is this? Java P java dot lang dot string. When you type this command on your command prompt, it is going to show you all this. Okay, did you remember the command? Right? Now if you scroll through, this is a class. It is going to display you the methods of that class, constructors and methods. Now just remember, so from here the method starts. What is this method here? The length. Public int length. This is a method of string class. Is empty, char it, code point it, code before it, code point count. These are all the methods like this. The last up to end, till end, all are those methods only. From where? From length. Now this is a method of a string class. Now if I want to call it, what should I do? Right? So if I want to call it, what should I do? Just I am writing this. Just see this. One example I will give. Public class string main. Public static void main string args. Dot Java. Right? So which class methods I want to call? Which class methods I want to call? I want to call the methods of a string class. This is the class name. So you require a string object to be created. Right? So string str is equals to, this is how we can create it. Later we will know why I am creating like this. This is how I can create it. This is a string object, predefined class. And through this object I would like to call the method of this class. So what is this method? Can anybody say this? How to call this method? This is the one. How to call this method? What is the name of the method? As we discussed, if you want to call a method of a class, you require an object identifier. Now str is the object identifier. Now through this identifier I can call the methods. Now what is the method name here? What is the method name here? Length, absolutely. Now str dot length, right? Str dot length, length. This is the name of the method. And what is this? What is this? Int, return type. So this method, whenever you call a method on a string object, it is going to return you the integer value. So I am going to store it in some integer value I. So system dot out dot println of I. What is the output? I don't require. What it is giving, I don't require. So let me compile and execute. I don't require the output up here. Later we learn what is that output and why it is giving that output. So it is simply, you can understand, it is going to give you 7. Why 7? Total number of characters. 1 space, 5 characters, again 1 more space, 7. So now this is one more method we see from that same class, Java P. Now what is the other method I would like to I'm interested in is now this one. What is this method? This one. Now can you say how to call this method? Yeah. Can anybody say how to call this method? Fast. What are you thinking? How to call this method? What is the method name? What is the method name? Char at absolutely. So object reference. str is the object reference dot. Char at is the method name. Fine. And this method takes one argument. And that argument is of type what? The argument is of type integer. So I need to pass some integer value to that. Integer takes an integer value. Right? So this is I passed. I don't know what it is doing me internally. Now what it returns me? So this is what I finished. Caret method, I call this method by using an object and I passed the integer. It is asking me an integer value to pass. I passed it. What this method is returning me? Character. So what should I do here? Store it in a character C. I don't know what is the meaning of that method. I am not explaining what is the meaning of that method. Not required now. C. I would like to print the value of C. That's it. Calling a method. If it is takes any value, pass the value. If it is returns any value, store the value and print it. That's it. Right? Main string. I got L here. L means what? Some value it is given. Now if I pass 1 H. Right? Now like this, this is what a method calling is. Nothing but. If you have a class, if you want to call the methods of a class, simple rule. Create the object, there is a blind point and see the method name. So as somebody asked, if I don't know the method names, if I don't know the parameters, how should I call them? So this is how this is called as. Generally it is not API actually. This is what a string class is having, what methods it is having. Generally we get this information in the form of API. We call it as application program interface. So every class will be, whatever the classes you use, predefined classes, they will provide you an API. And we use that API to call these methods. Right? Now how to call this method? Quickly say me. Okay, this method. How to call this method? Quickly say me so that yep. See and say me. How to call this method? String object dot fast. String dot code point count. Good. That's it. Not correct. Complete method signature like this. how I have written here. I want this kind of complete methods statement, complete statement I want there. What is there, guys? Is it tough? Only two things you need to check. Int x is equal to string dot code point count int comma int. Absolutely correct, but there is a small mistake. Make sure that you will be using all same case letters. He has given the correct, right? So he is saying int x is equals to str data code point count some 3 comma 2. I don't know what is the meaning of this. How to call this? This is my intention. Is it okay? Both of you? Okay, right? So this one, last method. Just give me and we'll wrap up this class. Kiran, can you tell me this? How to call this method? How to call this method? How to call this method? What is there? This is a method from what class? This is a method from string class. What is required? If you want to call a method of a class, you require a object of that class. Already have created a object, str. And if you want to call a method from, if you want to call any method from a class, you require object to be created. I have created object for string class. That is the str dot. What is the method name here? What is the method name here? Str dot is empty. Absolutely correct. And what it returns? Yeah, what it returns boolean. So how to do it? Call this method is empty method, and it returns you a boolean. Store it in a boolean. What is there? It is giving you a boolean value. Store it, and I would like to print it. It's not always printing the values, guys. Just for example, I am giving it. Right? It is true or false, something it is going to return. So this is how we call these methods, right? What you do is just remember this command, and you take this command, type this command in your command prompt, and start in working with what? This method. How many methods you can from length? This is the first method you have. Now how many methods you are able to call, and how many values you can get back from those methods, just do it and send me the mail, right? So I would like to stop this session, right? Okay, but practice is important. Okay, guys. So then I'm stopping the session. You can leave, right? Thanks. Okay, fine, no problem. I know, I can understand. Yeah, you are a bit hurry today. Fine then, right?